Hi, welcome to Film Ladder, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on film industry jobs. My name is Lexi, and I chat with creatives on what they do, how they got there, and how to excel.
I am so excited to introduce my guest, who has worked their way up to be a key grip. His credits include Tell Me Lies and the upcoming Chad Powers and Scream 7. Luis Pagan, welcome to Film Ladder.
Thank you.
Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
So you're a key grip. So give us a short little description of what a key grip is.
Key grip is kind of like a little bit of everything on set. It's a joke about the idea of us being the Home Depot of set to a certain degree. But it's kind of like engineering meets camera movement. There's a lot of requests and desires for the camera to do certain things. When it goes away from being a handheld shot, then it becomes my design to figure out how we get from point A to point B on the story. Other than that, we diffuse, we mold, and we shape the light. We make sure that depending on the width of the frame, we make the light more, I would say, beautiful. Other than that, safety, set safety is super important. Back in the day, it was all on the key grip and the first AD. Now it's kind of like more on first AD and some safety agents that we have on set. But I still hold very important that part of the job just because it keeps my people going back home and safe. I consider keys to be an extension of the voice of the crew. So it's important to represent with those things in a safe and smart manner.
So let's get into then what a day looks like. And we're going to break this up into what a day on pre-production looks like and then what a day in production looks like. So how soon are you hired on and who are you talking to talk about the vision?
So that's a good question. Pre-production wise, it's a crapshoot for us key grips and gaffers. Hire wise, because you get some good communication and good reps with certain producers. Majority of the directors of photography come from LA, New York, and other places. So having reps with them is not necessarily as easy because, union regulations and all that stuff. So if you're shooting in New York, people from Atlanta, you go out as an outside hire. You can't be just hired because there's union limitations on every state, right, that has the film incentive or actually a film hub. Within that, it's more of like word of mouth becomes like a very important thing. Once you get into the hire process where DPs approve, producers have approved, depending on the build of if it's a stage show, if it's a location show, we come in 3 weeks to 4 weeks before. It could be 2 months before, depending on how big the stage build will be. And we can get into what stage build means further on. But kind of like 4 weeks is kind of like the normal that you would get in, start getting gear orders. And then once the DP lands and he's had all his like scouts with the director and time to digest sets that have been built and all that other stuff, then you start getting a little bit more specific with shot listing and getting the dreams, right? And also all this lands with budget and all that stuff, right? Certain movies, certain budgets, certain dreams. There's spots where they fit. Dreams get bigger and smaller. That's kind of like my job. Hey, can you make this dream, keep it big, but pay for less? And that's kind of like where you make your money, right? Like where you make your reputation. Once that process is kind of like more on the ground and they have a better idea of a shooting schedule and priority of sets and all that stuff, then we start breaking down more specifics on specialty shots, specialty gear, and things of that nature.
Because you have your own equipment that you bring on, is that correct as well?
Yeah, so for gripping, like I mentioned before, Home Depot of set, right? So we want to have a basic layout of the things that you need for lighting, the things you need for camera support, camera movement, and also set support. Like you would be surprised what bolts and little screws and little things that they come asking last minute and hey, I do have it, so stuff like that. But you have a basic lighting package for first unit, you have a basic location package for rigging, you have a stage package for rigging, and depending on how big the show, you can have a stage package for first unit, which is support just for whatever the main package is.
So is rigging side of it, because there's the main unit grips and then there's rigging grips, that's also you? Are you in charge of hiring that as well?
So I I normally run my company like that. My business partner, Jack Parker, he's Jack the Gripper. I'm LP Grip, so you guys know what that means. It's like just Grips love names. Anyways, I try to keep it all in house. That's why that we're a reflection of each other, and that the standard of what I bring on set, it's the same standard that we have to the pre-light, pre-build, and location strikes. The purpose of the rigging crew really is to be the ahead crew, and for me to be able to concentrate more on location, and that way the broad strokes of lighting on stage are kind of like percent. By the time I get there, it's more about focusing and then the specialty lighting. So, Atmos for outside, anything that's lighting greens, anything that's lighting, making the stage feel alive. The riggers between the rigging gaffer, the gaffer, and the DP, we come out with this major broad stroke plan to create the environment that you're in a real space. So after that, then when we go in, we do light for the scene. We light for the blocking. We light for the space inside. Having that rigging crew is super important just because it just maintains us in pace.
As a side question that kind of relates to that, because you keep saying obviously the DP, the gaffers, and then the grips. I see you guys as a trio. Would you say that's like the most collaborative of the departments for the grips?
I would say for us, obviously, that three-headed monster moves the side that is not acting. I see the set as two layers. The set before the actors get to set and the set once the actors get to set. So before the actors get to set, after you show me what they're doing, that set's mine, that's the DPs, and it's the gaffers. The ADs, because they have to build the background around it and all this other stuff. But I am one to say, hey, give me the set. I'll give you the set back with time, I promise. It's the most collaborative because for what we are hired for in that time, the three of us are making big decisions that are making the set move. With the speed that we make those decisions and we execute, is the more time that the director gets reps with the actors. So now once the actors comes in, the gaffer and I take a little bit more of a back seat, and the questions come straight to the director of photography. There are questions about color palettes, questions about positioning of actors, skin tones, and all this other stuff. But by that time, we're already built. The key that makes us good and directors of photography good is the more time you give the director with the actor.
So then walk me through a day that's shooting.
Movies and TV it's not that different. It just depends on, you're in the episode, it's a little bit more of a crunch time. When you're in a movie, you have your Bible set. You kind of like, what the movie is. You're not going to have a change of director. You're not going to have anything that changes the pace or the flavor or feel of the show. TV, normally you have two directors of photography, so odds and evens. So you have the opportunity for one to be scouting and prepping while the other one is shooting. I've created a system where I stay on set all the time, and I have my best boy and my key rigger be the one that's scouting. And that way we keep a certain pace and quality. I trust them to give me all the information so we can have the right decisions made. On a normal day on TV, which has a bigger pace, we go in, you start talking with the director of photography about their day. My expectations a day normally with sets that you shoot more than once. You have an idea of the approach. You just have to ask time of the day to see how color temp and all those things, how you want to start. Try to go through specialty equipment with the DP for the day. Hey, I know that at a certain time, I'm going to have the crane for this shot. If we have a company move or something like that, then, hey, I'm going to be ahead. Do you need this up? Do you need this track up? Like all these little things to make sure that I know what the call sheet brings and I know where to be ahead. I like to be 2 scenes ahead on my preparation. If I have this set built, I have answers for the next 2 sets already.
When are you finding out you're using a crane that day? Is that the tech scout?
Yeah, 100%. That's a tech scout thing. If you tell me your dreams early, I can tell you how you can make that dream happen, and 2 more, shoot your whole day with the piece of equipment if you want to. You save the show money by being knowledgeable of what the gear is doing, but also by understanding how the gear can facilitate certain things that maybe other people don't have the vision for. Because certain directors have this vision of a crane shot. They don't want to see it or anything else because they think they're going to slow you down. You're like, hey, no, like I could shoot a whole TV show from this thing if you allow me and you're okay with that.
You're in charge of calling the vendor and getting it brought to set and everything.
Yeah, so in combination with the production office, normally I have a system set up with my best boy and my key rigger. Once I get all this information, let's say I got that call that we had crammed the last shot of the day. Now I'm bringing my key rigger and my best boy to set. Hey, this is what I have for the whole day. Let's prioritize this, make these calls, make sure they know that I need them an hour before the time. So all these things that become logistics, that's my best boy. That's why you have my best boy, the second in command. It's logistic, hiring, and inventory of the equipment. You are as good as the extension of you. I'm really good because I have a really, really good crew. A regular day kind of like it's just also keeping your ear open. I think keeping your ear open on set and like being super fluid, that helped me from my days as a PA in local movies back in Puerto Rico where I'm from. If you're on set and you're not trying to absorb everything that's happening around you, then you're really not there. So I think that's super important. Like all day, listen to the director, what's he's commenting, what's he's like notes that he would say, like off cuff, but you can go to the operator and be like, hey, bud, I heard this, and I think this would make your shot better. Knowing that you have the relationship to be able to say that, you know.
It sounds a lot of like pre-planned, but also collaborative on the day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And even more when the day is not going right.
With that said, what do you think other departments don't know about grips that you wish they did?
How smart we are. I think we get a rep of, I would say, the knuckle dragging boys.
Yeah, where did that start? It's always like, oh, that was a grip.
Well, it starts with back in the day, right? Like it starts with the idea of like the back in the day situation where the start of grips was literally just like this big, like heavy equipment. The idea of grip is like, give me your guy with the best grip. Like, give me your guy with the most physical strength. Grips still hold on to it and act upon it, which doesn't help, right? But I think we're way more smart than we're giving credit. We have a footprint in the final product that is way bigger than people think. Specialty shots, making the camera do things that make you question how. That's 100% grip. Obviously, great operators, great directors of photography, imagination of many. But the physical execution, the understanding of what the camera needs to do and the inertia is going to create, and all these things that can become an accident, it's on us. That in itself should help us shake the knuckle dragging.
Well, I can say, your team was great. I was highly impressed with your team, so I definitely thought all of you guys were very hardworking and very smart. So,
and that was my one mission, and it's been my one mission with my guys. Okay, let's take care of each other. Let's be smart. Let's be presentable. Have set etiquette. Let's be part of the group that people come to, not people that don't want to be a part of.
Is the camera department usually like educated in the equipment you have, or do they always come like, oh, this is my vision, how can we execute it?
They're pretty educated.
That's good.
Like in every other department, how more involved you are outside of your department and understanding how we get the entire process done. That's where...
Hence this podcast.
Exactly. The more you get that, the more you get in tune leaders. Then, like, for example, operators that are in tune with everything that's happening, they understand how to block a room. They understand where the light is coming from. That way, when they pitch the director, hey, how would we do this? And then we come around, they know that they're not going to put the light in the shot. It's like the good operators have knowledge of the gear, knowledge of what gear's on the truck. Because not only is knowing the gear, is also knowing, hey, I know Luis has this jib. We can do this shot with this jib. And I know Luis has this specialty thing that releases the camera with a magnet. So I can then walk with the camera to this other point and create this interactive shot. Operators that have that knowledge and understanding of the gear that's on the truck, of the gear that how it works, and also understanding what else is part of the scene. Well, that makes a big old difference.
We're going to rewind now, and I want to know your first in in the industry?
So that's a funny story.
Great.
Yeah, I was in between life things, if you want to call it. My first passion was baseball. I was looked at almost to go like semi-pro and all that stuff.
Wow.
Same old story for everybody that says that they were an athlete. They get hurt or whatever, but I did get hurt.
Oh no.
I was in between things. My family had stores, small like small supermarkets or colmados, if you want to call it. And that's not the life I wanted. A friend of mine had a girlfriend that was working wardrobe and local productions. They got a call for a soap opera from Chile that was going to Puerto Rico to shoot. He tells me, hey, they need drivers. It's non-union stuff. You got to be driving. When we got there, I was driving the producer. I was also a PA, and I also was a locations PA. So that
many
means
hats.
Yeah, a lot of hats because there's no union. I learned really quickly the dynamics of set and that my personality fits the dynamic of set. And also driving the producer of the show, create a relationship in the sense of like, hey, you're super smart. Like, we need to get more out of you than just driving around. And from there, jumped on PAing mostly on different shows. I got with this local producer. She was like, hey, you're going to assist me. So I started like assisting line producer in UPM. And then I started getting my first hands on budgets. Once I started getting my hands on budgets and understanding the set dynamic, I was like, hey, I want to be a technician. I want to light. I want to design shots.
And was this still in Puerto Rico?
Yes, that was all in Puerto Rico. And that made me kind of like make the decision to go all in on that. 2 years straight of gripping and learning a lot. And gripping on the beach is different. Gripping on a rainforest is different. Anybody that goes to Puerto Rico to shoot have the same experience with crew, which is like, hey, hardworking, knowledgeable, really great people. Want to have a good time, want to make something great. So I stood by that. Fast and the Furious 5 comes to Puerto Rico. They were shooting all the favela Brazil stuff. A group from Atlanta was the grip crew, and the rest is history, as they say.
Really? So they came to set?
The show was going to shoot half in Puerto Rico and half in Atlanta. They started in Puerto Rico. They brought a Atlanta-based crew, the Key Grip, Best Boy, Dolly Grips, and the rest was all local Puerto Ricans. When they got there and they realized that there was 3 of us that spoke fluent and the rest was a little bit up down, then you start becoming a little bit more of like a go-to person. By the end of the job, the Puerto Rico leg, our boss asked myself and my best friend, he asked us, hey, you guys want to come finish the job? Like, you started it. And I'm just like, yeah, of course. We got in, and on a Tuesday, by Thursday, we were union members.
Wow.
Yeah, our boss helped us do a transfer from the union from Puerto Rico to the Atlanta union, working on a Friday, and we haven't stopped work.
That's awesome. Is there still a film scene in Puerto Rico?
There is. It slowed down a little bit just because Dominican Republic picked up on their film incentive, but that also has slowed down a little bit for political reasons. Puerto Rico's picking up a little bit more. It's just like the cost to shoot in Puerto Rico is kind of like the same or a little bit more than maybe Georgia or Florida, just because you have to bring everything in boat or plane.
So you are now in Atlanta. So walk me through your career path to how you got from just coming to Atlanta, getting in the union, to now being a Key Grip.
So many things, again, go back to personality. I had the opportunity to work with heavy hitters when I got to Atlanta. Other people that were coming from LA and New York as well. So I was part of Anchorman 2. I was part of many Marvels, and the big shows and big exposure is important. It's important because you get to build all those relationships and trust. After Anchorman 2, I got the opportunity to move to a best boy position, which is not necessarily what my north was, but there was an opportunity that was given. Learn about the process, learn that I really don't like it. But that gave me the opportunity to start heating second units, which was important because then that opened my eyes to enjoy this process. From there, I stopped being a best boy because I did not enjoy it, and got the opportunity to start pushing dolly, hired gun, kind of like B dolly here, C dolly there. And that gave me exposure to a lot of like other films and other operators because I was close. Did this film that was pretty good and did pretty well independently, pushing dolly for the director of photography. He recommends me for the show that had already won season for BET, but a friend of his was the DP. I go in, I have no resume, so they hire me as a best boy. They bring a key from LA. I brought all my people. The key from LA wasn't great. The DP did not like him. And I guess he was done in 2 weeks. I thought we were all going to be done in 2 weeks. So I was trying to book everybody other jobs. And the DP came to me. It's like, hey, do you want to do it? I trust that you can do the job. You were recommended. And the production kind of like said no because you don't have any credits. But like, I want to give you the job. And I stuck by it, did 3 seasons of it. In between that, finished the first season of Ozark. Like I did the last 3 episodes of the first season of Ozark. Then went back to that, then did a couple more shows with that DP. And then it kind of like kept on rolling. Relationships were built with local producers and you start building a brand, which was really important for me. Mm-hmm. If you see a Georgia license plate and says LP Grip, that's me. If you see a Pagan Grips hoodie, that's me. Like a lot of time and effort so everybody understand that I'm local brand, and that we have a standard of operating and execution. To this day, that's one of the main things that I always get. It's like, hey, we see you everywhere, and we also hear about you, and it's normally the same thing. That keeps you going.
So when did you start accumulating your own equipment and whatnot? Is it just through the years?
So I made sure that I didn't create any debt or a personal debt or debt towards anybody. Slowly but surely, with my rates, I'm making investments. And so you start with 3 things. You saved a lot of money for those 3 things. Mm-hmm. And then you do a full season of this and you go get into that. And then we got to a point where I had the majority of the camera support. My best guy at the time, who is now my key rigger, hey, you want to go in? Let's go in. Like, I'll help. Let's go half and half. Yeah. Now it's accumulation of like little tools or just fine tuning, but it's a process that took 5 years, 6 years. You know, it's a continuous thing.
When you finally got your bump up to key grip, when the guy was like, nope, I see it in you, you're ready. Did you have a person you can go to when you weren't really sure? Did you even feel ready for it? Or was it like a deep end feeling of getting pushed in?
So there's a certain things about ignorance and youth, but obviously we all have mentors. Even in good relationships and like good and bad relationships, because we all have the crapshoot of, hey, this did not end up well. But I've always tried to maintain the majority of the relationships that I develop because of that, because I want to make the phone call. The person that tells you that they don't have that phone call, then they don't want to get better. We can't forget, storytelling is one of the oldest human things. There's so many ways to get storytelling. Mm-hmm. So finding a group of people that are always trying to innovate how you tell a story, how you continue the human experience, because the only way you can continue telling it is by leaving evidence of it.
Oh, that's good.
It has to be collaboration.
Mm-hmm. What are different personality traits that fit being a key grip?
I think at this point of the game, you have to be half teddy bear, half steel worker, mm-hmm. right? The confidence of like, hey, that guy's going to take care of the job. But at the same time, I want to be able to approach him. I think that's the number one thing that a key grip now has. And also the other thing is the understanding that I am a second assistant to the maestro. And then the first assistant to the maestro is the gaffer. So he is going to have flavor of how he wants to do. He is going to have a process. He's going to have specific lights that he likes using. So for me, the number one thing that makes me good is being able to move around all those needs and provide answers, and it being something that it seems like it's my favorite thing to do. So the personality traits for key grip, I believe, have the knowledge, have the strength and mental strength to be able to execute all these things, but at the same time be able to stay calm, stay level, be a steady force on set.
So what would you say is a hard truth to someone that wants to be a key grip that they should know about before pursuing this journey?
Your talent doesn't matter. You can be the most knowledgeable person in the world. You can have the most understanding of what the camera does, the tools, and it comes down to personality. You getting hired because of the proximity of the artist, be it actors, director of photography, directors, like we're pretty close to the game. You need to be somebody that people want to be close to.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. You get a lot of friends that get hired by friends on this, and you go like, well, talent-wise, I know I can grip circles around that dude.
Yeah.
But it does not matter because I don't have any relationship with that person. So I think the one thing that we all in this industry should understand is that everybody's replaceable and that it doesn't matter how talented you are, and not anymore. In the past, you could be super talented and you can have iffy personality traits. And because you're super talented, people will turn aside nasty things that everybody's been public about. We've had movements about it, like Me Too and the pay gaps, all these things that were part of the industry. And because you're talented or because that's the way it is, those things.
Right.
I think that's changing rapidly to the point where the standard now is, hey, no problem, clean, and best personality possible.
Yeah.
And you had said, the DP usually is outsourced from New York or LA or wherever they come from, but do you work with the same gaffer a lot, or is that random as well?
You try to build. I have like 3 gaffers right now that I trust, and I recommend them for jobs that I get because I know how they work, I know their pace, and I enjoy being with them. Go back to the personality. I can work with anybody because that's what we do. I would always want to work with somebody that makes it easier, that makes it more pleasant, and because we're spending so much time, right? So yeah, a lot of the time, commercials, all this other stuff that's happening, you don't get to work with the same people.
Yeah, is a UPM asking that in the interview?
It depends on your relationship. I have line producers at UPMs that call me straight and know like, hey, you're my guy. Doesn't matter who the gaffer is. You just need to pass the DP test.
Is that common to have an interview with the DP before you get hired?
100%. Basically, if the DP doesn't know you, you're interviewing. Sometimes producers make DPs interview people. You get both, but normally you get to sit with the DP. But most, like I would say 99.9%, you sit with the DP. Have a phone call. Again, personality. Like you have a good idea of who is who on a phone call.
Right.
Energy is exchanged. You understand if you're going to be able to do that for 6 months or not.
Okay, well, that leads me into my little wrap up with all of these different movies and shows you've been on. I want to know what your most memorable day on set was.
Wow.
You can take it how you want, if it was your most fun or most crazy, but what was the most memorable day that comes to mind?
So we were shooting a smaller movie called Hellfest. The director became a really good friend. He was the editor of many famous horror from the 2000s and 90s. Super knowledgeable of the genre, and he wanted to do different things with it. He wanted to bring a lot more neons and a lot of stuff. And it took place in this like amusement park, obviously kind of Halloween theme. Teens getting killed, basic stuff. There was a dream. There's this wave pool on the water park here in Atlanta, in Georgia, and they were very, very stingy with the wave pool floor. The show didn't want to put cable cams and they didn't want to do all these things. So I kind of like was able to laser the length and width of the pool and figured out with the 75-foot techno crane, I could cover basically like 70% of the width.
Okay.
And I could cover like 30% of the push. So basically I gave him the ability with the swing of the arm to create the effect of a cable cam, of like a pulling camera from the heads up and go high. I was able to do a long pushing above heads to the main on stage and did a bunch of cool stuff. On that same day, we had a 50-foot techno crane built on a platform that was built 4 foot tall to level the ground and also to get more height. So on that same night, it was like a 5 o'clock call and we finished at 6:30, 7 a.m.
Oh gosh.
We had a 75-foot techno crane making swings, and then I had to wrap it, send it, and to put it on another truck and then pull out another crane, forklift that crane onto the platform, shoot that shot that was kind of like an establishing of the party. And then for the turnaround, they needed to strike the ramp and the platform that the crane was sitting on. So before the turnaround, we went and shot another scene, and the guys were striking all the platform and bringing the crane down for another crane shot that was going to be at ground level. I saw the movie, and if everything was 60 seconds of the movie, it was a lot. And it took me at least a month and a half of planning. And that's one of those like, oh, wow, we did a lot of like, wow.
I was going to say too, like a lot of people don't realize, like I love watching movies or TV shows with people and being like, okay, when the camera's this way, majority of the time, the whole crew is on the other side. Yeah. And then we have to turn around. And so that means everything on the other side has to move, you know? And so it's a whole process. It's not just like, okay, great, now swing the camera. It takes a long time to move.
And if you're smart, it's like you start designing, you know, you would be surprised, like, wait, we have to move 170 people to the other side.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I think that was my most memorable work-wise.
Okay.
Because it was a mountain and we achieved it inside the time. I think my most awe moment was early in my career. I got the opportunity to be personal assistant for George Clooney on the last movie that I did as a PA. It was called Men Who Stare at Goats. And I was exposed for the first time to like a big celebrity because I was like hand in hand working with him. We were like at this restaurant and we stepped outside the restaurant, there was paparazzi. And you're like, oh man, this is real life. I remember being a kid and watching movies and like, the celebrities and the premieres at the movies and thinking that that's something that's so far from touch.
Right.
And that was the first moment where like, oh, I can do anything. If I'm this close to this, what stops me from being as close to whatever I want? So that was my first moment on set where it was like, oh, this provides a key to whatever I want inside of it.
And how was it? How was being his assistant?
It was super fun. He's a jokester, prankster, a really great human. He wanted a assistant that could play basketball because he was at the time he was like obsessed with playing basketball. So every day we played basketball, morning before he went to set, and then after he got out of set. That was part of my job.
Was that in the interview? They were like, we need to know if you can play basketball.
No, not even an interview. Like I get called. I was assisting a UPM in a show, hired the whole wardrobe, hired everybody because that was what she didn't like. It was negotiating with the crew. The person that I hired to be the on-set customer, normally is the personal assistant to the biggest producer in the island. She was doing that because she wanted to move from departments. Cut to Goats goes to the island. Ellen Gordon, who's the biggest producer in the island, gets the job, hires this person as their normal job as an assistant. And she says like, hey, I know this guy that plays basketball and that can do the job. And she calls me. It's like, hey, you want to assist George Clooney? And I'm like, yeah, go fuck yourself. And it's like, no, for real. It was really cool to be able to see him be human and also be like this bigger than human thing. You know, it's really cool.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was amazing.
Hell yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Film Ladder. I hope this episode brought you one step closer to understanding the many paths through the film industry. Consider subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing with someone else also navigating their next step. Until then, keep climbing.